Hello tubers, this is Kurt with Edibles and Exotics coming to you from sunny Mesa, Arizona. And this video, I'm going to try to remove some pups off of my date palm and pot them up and see the outcome. So, I know in the last video I did on dates, I said I was kind of nervous about doing it and looked like a lot of work. But my co-host George, he took me over to his friend's house in Mesa, and his friend has a exotic zoo in his backyard, which is pretty cool. Lots of crazy animals, kangaroos, warthogs, giant tortoises and capybaras and stuff. But in the front yard, he's got a date palm orchard. So we went over there. It was a date picking event. So we went over there, and some of the dates were picked and sorted, and all different varieties. It was really cool. I still love my medjool date that I grew from seed behind me, but I was talking to the guy and asking him how he goes about doing it, and he explained the whole process. So apparently the pups, the way they're anchored to the tree is kind of in a J shape. So the best way to do it is to use some sort of sharp chisel or something along those lines to basically chisel them off. You don't want to use a sawzall, because he says if you cut into the heartwood, you will immediately kill the pup. So he says try to get it as close to the parent plant as possible and go a little bit on an angle, not so much straight up and down, but a little bit in towards the base of the parent plant, and just keep beating the crap out of it until that chisel or whatever you're using goes through and it's severed. These pups have been on the tree now for probably about 5 years. So I'm going to show you in a second, but the ones that are up a little bit higher have visible roots. So my irrigation sprays basically from where I'm sitting back towards the tree. And like I said in previous videos, this was a lawn at one time, and I converted it into a food forest here in my front yard. So that side of the tree, it gets watered basically from about 11 in the morning until about 6 at night for 2 minutes every hour. So it's enough to keep those roots moist and keep them growing, encourage them to grow. So I'm going to attempt to remove one here in a minute, but basically I got this here from Harbor Freight. It's a double angled masonry chisel, so it's got an angle going this way and this way. I would much rather have it just have a flat side here and one angle here. It'd make it cutting through this a lot easier, because as this guy is cutting through, it's going to want to center itself, whereas if it only had one side and an angle on the other, I can put the angle towards the pup and it would help funnel it in towards the base of the tree at the bottom of the cut. But like I said, this is a 3-inch chisel, 3 inches wide. It's 11 inches long. It's actually very, very sharp. So I didn't have to worry about sharpening it or anything. I'm going to give this a try. I may have to do 2 or 3 cuts with it, but it's what I'm willing to try. So this was cheap. This was like $8 at Harbor Freight. I'm going to start the cut with this little mini sledge. All right. So I think this is like 2 or 3 pounds mini sledge. Get the cut going with that. And then I got this here. This is a 12-pound sledgehammer. All right. So if it becomes too hard to get through the pup where it connects to the parent plant with the mini sledge, I'm going to switch to this guy, because if you're using one of these, they're very heavy. And if you've ever hit a chisel, if you've ever split wood, anything along those lines, you'll know that when you are swinging a sledgehammer, that sledgehammer could actually slip off. You could miss, and you could hit yourself in the shin, the foot. You could hurt yourself, someone around you, or damage property. So you got to be very careful. Also, when you're hitting a chisel with a large sledgehammer like that, that has a lot of force and a lot of weight, if that doesn't get hit squarely on the top of the chisel, it could veer off and go flying and hurt someone, hurt property, or damage your plants growing next to it. So you got to be very, very careful. Don't go out and do this just copying my video and getting hurt and then, you know, freaking out. I'm warning you right now. You got to be very safe. If you've never done this sort of thing, maybe ask for help from someone who has. So let me get you in here right now, and I'm going to show you what the pups look like, and then I'm going to set you back up on the tripod, and I'm going to try to film me cutting this thing off. Now, I was told this process from skilled people could take 2-3 minutes, but from a person like me that's never done it, it could take a half an hour to an hour. All right, it's a very tedious process. So we're going to see how it goes. But let me get you in right now, and I'm going to show you what these pups look like, the ones higher up and the ones lower down. All right, guys, so this is the palm tree here. Oops, sorry about the sun there. But again, if you haven't watched my other videos, this is a tree. It's a female tree. It's got dates on it. Let's see, they're coming out. And this was grown from a seed that I purchased from Sprouts. I ate the dates and grew the seeds, and this is the one that I saved. The rest I either gave away or sold. And I planted this in the ground probably about a month after I started it. And this all used to be a lawn. Now it's all wood chip mulch and clovers. But it's somewhere, I honestly can't remember because I wasn't keeping track, but I would think somewhere between 12, 13 years old, somewhere around there, maybe 14. It's as tall as me. Most of these are measured kind of like a banana plant, where the fronds actually come out of the main trunk. So it's as tall as me, and so it's about 6 feet tall almost. And right now I got birdhouse gourds growing up, which is kind of cool. I planted some birdhouse gourd seeds last year, and they just decided to not grow last year, and one popped up this year, and we're starting to get fruit. So it's really pulling these branches down, but I don't care because it looks really cool in the front yard. And, you know, it's got some pretty cool fruit up there. Here's another one. That one's probably about, if I had to say, like 5 inches long. So really cool. We're going to leave these and see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't weigh it down too much. But I am in an HOA, and the common area is right next to this tree, unfortunately. So I had to shave off this entire side of the tree because I know they're just going to bitch and complain. So I did it so I don't have to listen to the headaches. But not to go off topic here, but this birdhouse gourd, there's the stem. It's pretty thick. It's probably 1 inch thick. It travels along the ground all the way over to here and goes into the ground down there. So it's a good, oh geez, I would say 5-6 feet away from the palm tree, and then going into the palm tree and going up. All right, so back to these palm pups. So this is a palm pup, all right? You can see the main tree is there, and then it gets these little suckers that come out of the side. They come out everywhere, all right? You can see them here, here, here. Here's another one over here. What I usually do with these is I'll come through with my Sawzall or chainsaw, and I'll chop them off down here, and then they shoot back out. All right. If I let them grow, this thing will turn into a giant bush. I think it's really cool looking, but it makes it a real pain in the ass to harvest these dates because your date fronds have these little needles all over them. So let me come around to a branch here, and you can see the ends of the leaves at the ends of the fronds. These are like needle sharp. You could really hurt someone poking them with them. And then at the base, as you come down, they start getting these stings, and these guys hurt really bad. So as you can see on this one, I usually trim these off around the dates just to make it easier to harvest so I'm not stabbing myself all the time. But these guys come all the way down, and like I said, they're razor sharp, so you got to be very careful with those. So what we're going to attempt to do here is we're going to find one of these that has some roots on it. This is the side here that gets squirted with irrigation water. These right here, these are actually roots coming out. So this pup here is actually starting to root out in midair. So we're going to select one here that's really easy to take off, that I could film, and you could watch me beat on this chisel until this thing comes off, and you probably laugh at me and probably know a better way, but that's the way I'm going to try it. So all right, guys, so this here is the one I selected. There's a little one next to it, and you can see there's already roots coming out. So I think this is a good choice. There's also some popping out here. I'm going to give this one a try and see how it goes. And we got roots coming out everywhere, so we might get a 2-for-1 here. We can maybe split this one in half and see how it goes. So let's get cracking on this. All right, guys, that wasn't too bad. This guy actually went through pretty good. I think a 3-inch width is probably good enough. Maybe 4 inches would be better. I wish this is supposedly 11 inches from end to end. I wish it was maybe another 11 inches longer. So as you're hammering, you could actually push on it and guide it into place. Whereas this short one, it kind of goes in, angles in, and you can't really control it because you only have about that much once you get down in there to push against. So all in all, this worked, but I would think a longer one would be better, which I'm probably going to be on the hunt for. Now, this pup here, this is the little one, and I think I did a pretty good job on that. It's got no roots, but I'm going to put this in a grow bag in a few minutes and see if it roots out. Onto the big one. Guess what? It had roots, but guess what? I chopped them off. So I don't know if this one's going to make it. Here's the big one. When I was cleaving, it kind of cleaved the side off. Hopefully that lives. I think next time, instead of coming in at an angle like this, I think I need to come in at an angle like this. So maybe a 45-degree angle here relative to where this is popping out instead of a 90. When I was hitting it, unfortunately, I knocked the top off. Garbage. I'm going to pop this one up anyway, see what happens. The other side looks really good. Maybe it'll regrow. Like I said, I chopped these off with a Sawzall, and as you can see, I chopped it right down to this ring here, and that's about where it broke off. So this may regrow. So I'm going to put this one in a 12-inch grow bag, and I'm going to put the other one in either a 12 or a 6-inch, and then we're going to keep these guys in the shade, keep them watered in, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So guys, if you have a better way of doing this, let me know. I mean, cleaving them off, I started it out, like I said, with the little sledgehammer, got it down until it was starting to bounce back off. You know, when you hit it, it kind of bounced instead of chopping through. So that's when I switched to the bigger sledgehammer. And even that one, I didn't have to do like an overhead swing. It was just tapping and it went right through. And as you're going through, you could tell it's severed when you hit it, and all of a sudden it goes, it sounds like a kind of like a hollow knock, and then you just hear a clink and it slides in a little bit easier. That's when I noticed that I was through and I was able to pop these guys out. So I watched other videos, and you know, most of them aren't in English. They're in some Middle Eastern countries, and you know, a lot of squiggly writing and subtitles. If you're lucky, most of them aren't subtitled, and all you can do is watch it and try to copy them. But they do have some special tools. It mainly looks like that chisel, but it's a little bit longer. They also have ones that look like a shovel with a blade at the end, and they just keep chopping at it. This only took me about 5 minutes to get both of these guys off, even though I screwed up and I probably did it wrong, and everyone that knows how to do it that's watching this is like, dude, you're doing it wrong, you idiot. I know. I learned by trial and error. I did find a couple of articles on the internet. People say if you have a date palm with pups on it and you want to harvest those pups, leave at least 1, 2 or 3 is better, because they say they've noticed in their personal experience that if you remove all the pups, that sometimes that tree won't regrow pups. If that's what you're after, go ahead and remove them. But if you want your tree to keep putting out more and more pups, they say to leave 2 or 3. All right, 1 at the minimum, 2 or 3 is better. So that's what I'm going to do. I only did the one side of the tree just because it was super easy to get to, and I just wanted to give it a try. And so now let's get into the backyard. I'm going to pop these guys up. I'll show you what I'm using, and then we'll close the video out. All right, guys, so this is what I got here. I got a 12-inch grow bag for the bigger one and a little 6-inch for the smaller one. We're going to start with the 6-inch. Now, I don't normally do this, but I'm going to use a piece of aloe because I got it laying around for a rooting hormone. I don't know if it's actually going to help it root, but I've heard that it's got antibacterial and antifungal properties. So since I cleaved this off and God knows what the heck is on here, I'm going to just take this. I cut it in half, filleted it. I'm just going to slather this on there. All right. And hopefully that will ward off any sort of infections that may result from me using probably the not so cleanest tools, and after cleaving it off, just throwing it on the ground. So that's nice and slimy. You can see it's like snot hanging off of there. All right, I'm just going to take this guy, I'm going to stab it in there, and I'm going to fill the pot up. They say you want the crown of the plant above the ground because you don't want it sitting in water, which makes sense for rooting these guys out. So there we go. Crown of the plant is out. This soil that I'm using, it's recycled potting soil, probably mixed 50-50 with just straight peat moss. And then I added some used perlite to the mix, mixed it all up, and this is what I got. So these grow bags, I make these myself. I did a video on them. I'll put a link down in the description. But when you're rooting these out, the reason why I'm using grow bags and this kind of soil is you want it to be moist, but you want very good drainage. You don't want these guys sitting in really anaerobic, muddy soil. So this is really going to drain really well, and it's going to allow air to flow through, and hopefully it'll help it root out faster. So like I said, they're really easy to make. I got a link. I'll put it down in the description, and you guys can watch it and make your own. If you guys are doing a bunch of plants and you're buying pots, this is definitely the cheaper way to go. The initial outlay may be 50 to 100 bucks for you between buying a sewing machine if you don't have one, buying the thread, and buying the material. But once you have all that, you can make, depending on the size of the pot, 1,000 pots for probably about 40, 50 bucks. And they're reusable. They store very well. You can just scrunch them up and throw them in a bin, as opposed to having stacks and stacks and stacks of all different size pots. So this big one here, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to take this aloe, and I'm just going to rub it in there. And then I'll probably take another piece, cut it up, and get it all juiced up. All right. So to cut these guys, if you do want to try this, what you want to do is you take it, you run your knife down the edge to cut the little spikes off on both sides. All right. And then you're just going to fillet it. Super easy. You just run your knife down the flat side, and then you use the back side to juice everything up. So we're going to take this, run it down the back side here. Doesn't matter if you don't get all the green off, no big deal. What we're after is the white snot inside. All this stuff in here is what you're after. The ends will leak this yellow sap, which stinks and is gross, and it stains stuff. So be very careful when doing this. Don't wear nice clothing. So let's rip this guy in half. All right. We'll finish rubbing this guy down. I'm going to coat whatever is cut bare from me cutting. All the tips and everything. And then I wounded this side, so let's get some in there. All right. We're going to do the same thing. We're just going to plop this guy in. And then we're going to fill the rest up with soil, leaving this crown exposed so it doesn't get too wet. Oh, look at that. Seed pod. Yeah, I told you it's recycled dirt. But these grow bags, if you just give them a little shake, you can shake all that dirt down the sides. It makes it a lot easier to fill up. You can even pick them up and just bang them on the bottom. So I just want to make sure we don't have any air pockets in there, because once this guy starts rooting out, we don't want to disturb the roots. So we want to kind of get this set up now so we don't have to worry about it once it's got little baby roots. All right, push it down a little bit, make sure we don't have any air pockets. Oh, there's still an air pocket back here, so we need to get some in there. All right, blow any funk out of there. We don't want anything getting in there and causing rot. That's where it broke off. All right, now these guys, we're going to take these. We're going to water them in really good. Probably wait 10 minutes after we water them again just to make sure it's nice and soaked. And then these are going to go on that rack over there in the shade. And what I may do is put a little humidity dome over it. That rack has holes in the bottom, so I should still get air circulation. I'll leave the top open just to make sure this stays moist and doesn't dry out too quick. But I think this is a pretty good size for this. If this guy does start growing and rooting out, it's going to have to go probably into an 18-inch grow bag, which is about twice the size of this. And the little one will probably have to go into this bag once I take this guy out, if they both root out. So I'm going to do updates on these. This is probably not the best time to be doing this. We are in the first week of October, and we only have another, I would say, month and a half of grow time. But this may be moved into a greenhouse to root out the rest of the way when it starts getting too cold at night. So let's get this guy all watered in, put on the rack, and in a couple of weeks I'll do an update whether this guy rots or still looks good or whatever happens. I'll let you guys know. But if you guys have done this and you got some suggestions, or you're just screaming at your TV, this guy's an idiot, hey, let me know, because like I said, I've never done this before with these. So that's why I only took the 2 off. I'm going to see how this goes, and if I get some suggestions or whatever, I'll probably follow those if they're logical. If not, and these don't root out, I'll try again with a different method. All right, guys, so those are all watered in. Haven't put them on the rack yet. I'm going to water them again in 10 minutes, and then I'll probably use one of these guys over the top. It's got a little thing on the top you can turn with holes so you can regulate how much moisture is in there, and it's just a little plastic dome. These things melt in the sun. Don't put them in the sun. You know, every time I try something new like this, I usually just wing it and you know, try to figure it out on my own, what works best, what doesn't work, because there's a lot of crap on the internet. People tell you to do this or that, or, you know, and you do it and it doesn't work, or you have crappy results, or, you know, it's better to learn by yourself, especially if you have enough tries at it via enough pups on your date palm. And who knows, maybe you'll come up with a method that's better than everyone else's, you know? That's what I always hope for, but usually I do it and fail, and do it and fail, and do it and fail, and then I succeed, and then I can start building on that success and figuring out, well, why did this succeed and the other ones didn't, and figure it out and go with that. And usually I get a pretty ironclad program going with whatever I'm trying to propagate. So like I said, I'm going to do some updates on this, let you guys know whether they failed or whether it worked or whatever. But if all goes well, hopefully in a couple of months, they'll start growing, and I'll have them for sale. So I told you guys in the last video, last week, when I made the grapevine trellis, welded it up and pounded it into the ground, I got a pretty big surprise coming up. And I'm excited about it. It should make great videos. I'm going to do a whole series on it, and then I get another one coming up after that, possibly another. So next weekend I'm going to film that video, probably on a Saturday, and I will have it posted on Sunday if all goes well. Very exciting for me, and hopefully you guys will be excited about it too. And I don't want to let the cat out of the bag and jinx myself, because that seems to be the norm every time I talk about something exciting or whatever. It falls through, but I don't think this one's going to, but I'm going to keep it under wraps for now. So don't forget to hit the bell, guys, because you're going to want to watch my videos in the next coming weeks. You're going to really like them. So please don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Again, hit that bell, tell all your friends. And until the next video, guys, keep growing.